All right, let's do the two verses. The previous one that we covered and this one. Okay. Yam hi na vyathante. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Atha Dvitiyodhyayah. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Yam hi na vyatayante te. Purusham Purusharshabha. Samadukha Sukham Dhiram. Somritattvaya kalpate. Nasato vidyate bhavaha. Na bhavo vidyate satah. Ubhayorapi drashtuntuh. Anayostattvadarshibhihi. I think there is a couple of Sandhi Vichaya things probably done differently. Ubhayorapi drashtuntuh. Tanvayo ravatattvadarshibihi. So, anyways, we will go through this one. Let's see. So the last one that we did was about who is the Dhira Purusha. Dhira Purusha is the one who is a wise person, the one who remains the same in Sukha Dukkha. That means, see, first we talked about the Matra Sparshena Kaunteya, the one which can handle the external changes, as external pressures. And here it is the one who can handle the internal changes, which is the mental changes of Sukha Dukkha. So who stays same in Sukha Dukkha. So that was the last one. So Amritatvaya Kalpate. He is the one who achieves the Amritatva. And Bhagavan is now explaining what that is and what is the nature of things. So he says, Na sato vidyate bhavaha, na bhavo vidyate sataha. The one, asata bhava na vidyate. Asata bhava means what is non-existence is never there, you know. Now you will see there is a play of word here, but we will analyze each word in detail. That asat is never there. And the sat is never absent. Sat is always there. Sat is never absent. So seems very simple, but you know, it is very, very core of Vedanta that we have to understand. What are they trying to say here? I'm just giving the word meaning right now, that existence is never absent. That means existence is always there, and non-existence is never there. Okay, this is what the shloka says. And then it says, Anayo Ubhayo, the one who understands this, the one who has understood Ubhayo. Ubhayo means these two, the existence and non-existence, who understand both these things. He is the Tattva-darshibihi. He is the one who understands it all. He is the Tattva-darshi. Tattva means the one who understands the substratum or the substance of this, who understands the core of the this philosophy, or who understands the nature of things in its primordial form or in its real form. So let's understand. So two things that we have to understand: what is Sat and what is Asat. And we will go through this a few iterations. So if you don't get it, don't worry about it. We will do it over and over. So what is Sat? According to this definition, Sat is that doesn't change in all three periods of time. This is the standard definition of Sat, that which is never changing. And Asat is the one that is going through a continuous modification. That means it was not there, then it appears, then it goes through modifications, and then it disappears, or it's gone. So that which is constantly changing is Asat, according to the Vedantic definition. So that means it is avidyaman. So what was the verse? Na asato vidyate bhavaha. That means that that it is never vidyaman. It is never, let's see this way. It is never present. Okay. Like, Shitna, like we did the verse before that, Shita Ushna Dehe. That means Shita Ushna, the heat and the cold is really not there. But it is experienced for some time. It comes and it goes, So it is always here what Bhagwan is saying is even more deeper. So let's understand. So what is the bhava? Here, when we say bhava, it is not emotion. It is the presence. किसी का अभाव हो गया, मतलब उसका absence हो गया. और bhav here is the presence or the existence. That's what Bhagwan is trying to say here is. So how do we experience that? How do we know what we know? We do two things. Yesterday also I was going to talk about it, but I forgot. See, there is one thing called Satya Satya and the other one is Nitya Anitya. If I say that, the body is Asat, or, my wife is Asat, it is hard to digest, because to us, Asat means it is not there. But when I say it is something is Nitya and Anitya, which means it is never changing and something which is constantly changing, there I can say, okay, yeah, I understand. The body is constantly changing, so it is Anitya. But here Bhagwan will, conclude through logical steps how that Anitya is also Asat. So let's trying to understand this. And remember, it is not when Bhagwan says Tattva Darshi Bhi, so don't think that Tattva Darshi is somebody that if I go through a process, I become a Tattva Darshi. We are actually Tattva Darshis. But we are not seeing truth as truth and untruth as untruth. We are not seeing Sat as Sat, Asat as Asat. That is our problem. Tattvadashi means we are, that the I-ness in me is never changing, right? But all the other things that I have superimposed on it are going to change. Let's understand with some example also. Or see, everything that I experience in this world needs some form of pramanam. That if I say the glass is, then the glass is there, my eyes are there, and I am able to experience that. That means there is a dependence of that experience. We understand that part? Okay. So all knowledge that has a dependence existence, which means I can only know it through some other means, by either seeing or by hearing, touching, or mentally calculating, whatever experience I am doing is through some form of pramanam. That means I have now used another agency to understand it. Then it is, they say that if it is this experience or this knowledge is dependent on something other than, or is dependent on anything, then it is asat. There is this is a declaration. So Bhagwan is not going to just say it and keep quiet. He will go through many iterations of this. Why Bhagwan says anything, he has to now prove it, right? So, so any knowledge that is dependent on some other form, like seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, thinking about, is all asat. And knowledge that is independent of anything is sat. That means which is not dependent on a third party to know. Third party means any agency, whether it is senses or mind. If it is not dependent on it, then it is sat. And what is that in our experience?
That is the sense of the basic primordial I, the awareness or consciousness.
Right, the consciousness, because of which all other agencies are working. That doesn't need any pramana. I don't know that I exist because I see it myself, or I hear myself, or I touch myself. I exist because that's who I am, There is no third agency needed to know it. Is that point clear? If anything that doesn't make sense, please stop me. So this is the Siddhant. So what is asat here? That which is changing and which is when I can't say it is sat or it is asat, okay, that also is very important. When I don't say it is sat or it is asat, I say it is anitya, which in Vedanta we use the word mithya at times, So mithya is an easy way out of saying that, okay, I see it now, but it is not really a permanent thing. That's all I'm trying to say here. Okay. So, which is subject to change. This part we should understand. Okay. So let's take some example. So
Rajivji, need to interrupt. So now Nitya and Anitya are not same as Sat and Asat.
Yes, for our understanding, yes. For now, they are different. Anitya means that which is constantly changing. And Asat is what is not there.
Okay, a small change. Okay, thank you.
Right. So like we say that, you never look at a river twice. You cannot see the same river twice. So every time you see it, there is actually a change happened already. The molecules of the waters have already gone past a certain distance, right? Or things are constantly changing. So actually the whole samsara, we don't see it twice. We don't see the same samsara twice. Every time we see it, there is some change happened already. So it is anitya. That's clear? The definition wise? Anitya and asat. And the asat is the example given normally is like that which was never there. Like, Khargosh ke sir pe seen. They were never there, So that's one example. So everything that we actually experience, so I was giving example, pot, right? So a pot is something that we see, but its real nature is clay, right? The clayness is the cause of that pot. If you remove the clay, there is no pot, right? The only way, so it is basically the Nam Roop is all we understand in this universe. We never understand the substratum of this Nama Rupa. So let's understand it differently. This is from our Gurudev Chinmayanandji used to give the 3 laws of spirituality. He says the first law is that there is always a cause for an effect. So if there is an effect, then there must be a cause for that effect. Now, here what we are talking about is, when we talk about causes, like the clay for pot, or we say some examples, there's several examples. So like gold for ornaments. So there is if there is an ornament, there is gold. The gold is the cause for that ornament. So that part is okay. What is the second law? Second law says that the effect is nothing but the cause in a different form. So the gold is there, and when I say chain or a bangle or a ring or anything else, they are nothing but nama rupa imposed on that gold. So gold was there, the gold then became chain. Now I recognize this gold as chain, or I recognize it as a bangle, or I recognize, or another example, the pot. So the clay, I understand, is a design of a pot, or it could be design of a plate, or it could be a saucer, or it could be a cup, whatever it is. So the existence of those effects is nothing but the cause in that different form. So the gold is now appearing as a ring, it is appearing as a chain, it is appearing as a bangle. So all these things are happening with the with that cause appearing as these objects. Is that okay? That part is clear, very simple. So cause is appearing as effects. That is the law number 2. Law number 3. If we remove the cause, the effects are also gone. So if I take the chain or a bangle or a ring and I remove the gold out of it, what remains? Gold. Nothing remains, right? Because the existence of the chain or the bangle or anything of that sort is totally dependent on the gold. Same way, like we say saucer, cup, pot, or whatever is made up of clay. If I remove the clay, then nothing remains. That part is clear? Okay. So other than clay, what has no existence? Okay. So this is called mithya. Mithya is when we recognize something by nama rupa, not by its essence. So when we are superimposing a new nama rupa, we understand it as mithya. Okay. So this is where we in Dragdrashya Vivek, we called it Vacharambanam Vikaro Nama Deham. That means it is only for cause of transaction. There is no other purpose behind it, just for transaction. Okay. Now, Purva Paksh say, okay, you know what? I see pot as a substance and also see clay as a substance. But point is that the pot's existence is 100% dependent on clay. So really the existence is of clay, not of pot. Pot is only an appearance. You understand? Okay, all right. So that means that which is appearing in presence of its cause. So if I say pot is real and clay is real, then the definition says that if it is appearing, if it is not available other than the presence of its cause, then it is asat. So the pot's truth is 100% dependent on clay. Okay, just affect, cause and effect, nothing else, you know. So we understand this. So so when we remove the clay, nothing remains, which is the law number 3, right? If you remove the cause, effects are gone. And the second is the cause itself is in the form of effects. So that means the clay itself is real, the potness is unreal. Okay. So what is asat now? Let's understand that. That which is not there before birth, which is not there after birth, and it is constantly changing while it is in the present. So that all is called asat according to the definition here. Okay. So pot before the clay was not there. When clay, we found it, it appeared to be there, but it is also constantly changing. And then one day it breaks, becomes clay again. So that is, its appearance is only nama rupa. That part we should understand. It is only for the utility value of that nama rupa. It doesn't have its own existence. Now we can replace that pot with anything else, including this body. So the body was not there. Body will not be there. This is something that is hard to digest for us at this time, you know, because we have been holding on to this body as real. So Bhagavan wants to break. See the reason why he is doing it. He says, before that, you know, in 11th verse, Bhagavan talked about, they were, you know, it's, they were there before, they are there now, and they will be there after. What you see will not be there, which is not there now also, you know. So what is appearing, and you have developed a relationship with that which is Namarup only, is the problem. This is your cause of suffering. This is what Bhagwan is trying to say. So if we replace the pot with the body, then body was not there, going through changes. When it appears, it goes through changes, and then it is gone, it disappears, right? That part is clear. Now replace it with my daily problems. So the problem was not there before. Problem is there for a short time. It will go through some, you know, it'll give us some pain or pleasure, and then it will go away. Any experience can be considered with that example in mind. Is that clear? That it was not there, it came, it went through modifications, it gave whatever pain and pleasure, and then it disappears. So he says, stay sama in dukkha, sukha, you know, dukkha, sukha, same kritva, or wo bhi aayega bhi. But here he says, this is the definition of a dhira. Sama, dukkha, sukha. So he who remains same, because he's going to see that if it has come, it will also go. So that is the point here. Okay. Now, somebody may have approached Bhagavan. Actually, it is in the Shankara Bhashya. He says, okay, you know what? Clay is also not real. You know, you gave example of pot and all these things. But if pot is not real, the clay is also made of the Panchatattva only, you know. There is a water, there is earth, there is some space, there is whatever. So it is made of Panchatattva. So we can say that, okay, the Panchatattva is real, this is not real. Then we'll say, okay, then from earth to water to fire to space and then to nothingness. So basically you are trying to say that nothing really exists. So you are a Shunyavadi. So he says, that means that we are basically going down to Shunya. Bhagwan says, no. Let me break this thought process also. We are not talking about Shunya. Just like we had Sat and Asat, we also have two types of Buddhi. Sat Buddhi and Asat Buddhi. This is very important part to understand. So please pay focused attention here. And if you don't understand, raise your hand or shout out and we will go through it again. So there is a Sat Buddhi and Asat Buddhi. So let's take, for example, a cup, So the cup is there. So we understand the cup is, so there is the thought of an object and the existence of that object. Let me repeat that. Asat Buddhi is that which is, let me think of a better word. Where the Buddhi doesn't change is Sat Buddhi. That means it is seeing the presence of something. There is a isness in that. Okay. So for which the Buddhi does not change. Buddhi is what? Buddhi is our intellect. So now we are actually, you will see this little bit convoluted, because eventually we will come to the understanding that Buddhi is also Asat. But let's just, for the sake of understanding, for the simpler, for simplified version, let's understand. So in any experience, there is a non-changing set of experience and there is a changing experience. Let's now say, if we are talking about pot. So first we say pot is, right? When we see a pot, we say pot is. Then we do some more vishleshan. We try to understand it deeper. We say, okay, actually it is not pot. It is the clay that is. So first we said pot is, then we said clay is, then we said Pancha Tattva is, right? So what is common in all these things? So if we break this, so there is an object and there is a isness of that object. See, this is something that is never taught in any other philosophical system, whether we take Western or we take any other. So the isness is the common common in these things, right? So the pot, the clay, the Panchatattva, these are all saguna. Saguna means that which can be identified as object, right? So they have some guna. That's why we call it sagun. So this is sagun, but isness has any guna? Isness has no guna. It is pure existence. So the existence will never change. The objects will come and go. Okay.
I didn't follow this isness term.
Sorry, what is it?
I didn't follow my voice. Isness. Can you?
Okay.
Yeah.
Basically, isness is what we call as existence, which is what we call as Sat. That means this, the existence is the nature of the substratum. Without existence, no object can be experienced. So, let's say one thing. If I say object is Asat, but its isness is there, right? So that is what gives it a reality.